Somebody asked me to compare a cockatiel and a Senegal parrot. How different? We're talking totally different continents. One is from the African continent, Senegal parrot, and one is one of the most popular, I'm going to say the second most popular pet parrot. Maybe it's the third most popular, and that is a cockatiel from Australia. Very different, totally different families. One is under the umbrella of the cockatoo family. If you know parrots, that was funny. Umbrella, cockatoo. And the other one is a true parrot from the tropics, and that's the Senegal. Let's compare them. Hey guys, I'm Caitlin, the author of The Parrot Respond and the new book Get to Know African Grey and Cape Parrots, both available on Amazon.com today. Get your copies. If you are here and you're going, Caitlin, that is not a cockatiel or a Senegal, I know. I don't have Senegals anymore, which is kind of sad. I liked my Senegals. And my cockatiel, she's got a mate, so I don't handle her a lot right now, but I will have pictures for you. If you did know that that's Blue, then you're used to hanging out. Thanks for being here. I love my fans. I love my YouTube members almost as much as I love my parrots. So these two parrots are interesting, the Senegal versus the cockatiel. We're talking a similar size, although the Senegal is going to be a little chunkier or fuller, kind of like Blue. Blue is not a sleek parrot. He's more of a thicker parrot. But similar size, different diets. They're both kind of chill, except not exactly. Senegals are pretty chill. I love that about them. So instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about cockatiels. Cockatiels get night frights, and that is when something happens and they get spooked at night and they just kind of go berserk. If they're not in their cage, they can get in trouble. They can stress out, bang into things. It can be pretty bad. Other parrots can get night frights too, but I don't know if anyone gets it as bad as some of the birds in the cockatiel family. Namely, for me, cockatiels, although I know it can happen to galahs as well. So that's something to kind of be aware of. That means that if you have a cockatiel, you really want to make sure that they are in their cage at night. I think your Senegal should be too, just so that he or she is nice and safe, but that's sort of a big difference in the fact that they can kind of freak out easily. Both of these are birds that, even though the Senegal is more mellow, I still wouldn't free fly myself. Why? Because they're smaller birds, they're easier for prey to go after them, and if they do get frightened for any reason, they both will fly into a tree, and I think that the cockatiel would be more likely to, and maybe fly up so high that you can't reach them. And parrots don't really fly down a lot. They fly up, and you might say to me, well, how do they keep flying up? I don't know. I think they fly down a little, but never like down to you. So that can be a good challenge. And I say that just so you kind of have an idea of the difference in what they're like. Now, as far as their bonding goes, these are both parrots that are going to bond with you. They are not necessarily like semi-independent parrots that aren't really going to bond or anything like that. They are parrots that, like Blue, are going to kind of want your attention. Now, since Blue is with me, and he therefore is the example until he flies away, the Senegal parrot runs the risk, of being a one-person bird. That means that your Senegal parrot can fall in love with you, decide that you are like his or her bonded mate, and want to be with you, and then bite other people or be aggressive with other people, I assume other birds too, that want to be around you. And that can be problematic, because then that means that your Senegal will put themselves in a position where it's you or like depression. And that's a little drastic, but not too drastic. When a Senegal parrot does that, They rely on you for their well-being. They rely on you for their happiness. They rely on you for their companionship. And that's just too much to ask for you to be able to fulfill. You really can't do it. Cockatiels have a huge advantage here because they will bond with you, but also still bond with other cockatiels. You could put a cockatiel in an aviary, in other words, at least a bigger cage than what would qualify for one cockatiel. You could put them in with 2 cockatiels, you could put them in with some budgies, you could mix them, and you could have a problem, but it's unlikely. You would need to supervise, especially for a while, to make sure for several days or whatever, but it's unlikely that you're going to have problems. They are more friendly that way. They don't have that one bird mentality. Now, with other birds like conures, who can sort of pick up a little bit of that mentality, you can have 2 conures, like 2 green-cheek conures, and they will still bond with you. They will bond with each other, keep each other company, so that they have someone to fulfill the wanting attention all the time, wanting companionship all the time, wanting someone to preen their feathers all of the time, wanting someone to preen around their back, which you shouldn't do, because then, you know, that could be sexually stimulating. So cockatiels, in that sense, are like the conures. Conures, in that sense, are a really good example because they can also be a little one-person-ish, not too much, but when you have 2 conures, then you're going to relieve that. And so 1 conure can be problematic, but 2 kind of solves that problem. Whereas with the Senegal, if you get another Senegal, they might really injure each other, like where you have to take them to the vet. And I am unfortunately speaking to you from experience. So that, to me, makes a Senegal challenging. Kind of more challenging than I would like, because you can have them in a larger cage, much larger than would be appropriate for one Senegal, and that might work. But just because they are fine and they ignore each other and they're on different sides of the cage, which is what Senegals tend to do, for 3 months, it doesn't mean that they won't have a fight the next day kind of thing and one of them get injured. So for that reason, I think Senegals are a little challenging, like challenging to keep happy. Kind of a significant challenge in my perception. Dander, you know, like I said, I've had Senegals and I'm like, do they have dander? Because African gray parrots do, and they're from the same continent. Do Senegals? I'm like, I don't know. Since I have over 22 species of parrots, I don't know. Sometimes there's dander and I know who it comes from and I don't know who it also may or may not come from. Cockatiels, they definitely have dander. If you have asthma or if that's going to be a problem, your house is going to get dusty, you can't clean it often or something, that might be a reason not to get a cockatiel. Do these birds talk? My Senegals didn't talk. Do Senegals talk? I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really heard a Senegal talk. So unfortunately, that one's a question mark. You might need to research. Do cockatiels talk? I think you can't say no, but you definitely can say they whistle. They're whistlers. They, especially the males, they're fun that way. They can sing whistle. So that's kind of cool. But I don't think either of these, neither of these are your talking parrots. When you talk, or when you focus on or think about a parrot that really talks, they're not up there. Diet. Their diets are going to be similar in the sense that you need to have a pellet-based diet, you need to have vegetables in that diet, and their vegetables are very similar in the sense that you want vegetables high in beta-carotene, and you don't want fruit. Ripe fruit, you can have unripe fruit that's green and that you don't want to eat, but ripe fruit that's sweet and beautiful and colorful has a lot of fructose, and parrots, their systems have not evolved to process all that fructose, all that natural sugar. So that should not be a part of either of their diets. Now, the Senegal, I can't remember. Did I give my Senegals? I don't think they got nuts in their diet. I don't think they need that supplemental nuts. I think you could probably give them a little bit of seeds if you want, a little bit, maybe for treats or just a little bit every now and then. I would have to research that again because I don't remember what I did. Now, with the cockatiels, In the wild, they naturally do eat some seeds that they find like on the ground, but they are grass seeds, which means they are low-fat seeds. That is not sunflower seeds. So when you go to the store, this is kind of strange, and you ask for a seed mix, and they say, well, what kind of bird do you have? And you say, I have a cockatiel. They say to you, well, then you probably want the cockatiel seed mix. And you say, no, that one has sunflower seeds. When a parrot has too many seeds or too much fat in their diet, it will cause fatty liver disease. It's hard on their body. It is probably the #1 killer. My veterinarian, my avian veterinarian, did say that like the #1 most common problem with parrots is liver, having liver problems. And when they have that, one thing that's nasty, guys, is their beak will grow like long and weird and crooked, and their nails, and don't go there. So you say, no, I do have a cockatiel, but I want the parakeet seed mix, because the parakeet seed mix has those grass seeds, and that's going to be better for your bird. With that cockatiel, you're going to be giving them, I would say 40% to 50% fresh vegetables and some seeds, and then the rest is going to be that pellet-based diet. Why? Because whether or not pellets are perfect, I don't think they're perfect. They do offer everything your parrot needs as far as vitamins and minerals goes, and I don't know how else you cover that. Otherwise, one thing that's difficult is you have to know what to give them and what not to give them. For example, parrots love beans. Beans are good for them, but oh no, I forget. Seeds inhibit the absorption of calcium, which is a really good reason not to give them seeds all day long. But I think too many beans, oh man, they inhibit something. So research it. So when I give out beans, I don't give them all day, right? I give them with the fresh vegetables once, and then that's it. And then for the rest of the day or for a couple of days, they don't get beans again. So you have to really research. Like, you have to understand nutrition, and you have to understand what fruits, what vegetables, what beans, what everything you should or should not give your parrot, which ones are toxic, of course. And that's a complicated list, but it's a list that you need to do. It's important to do so that you can give your parrot some fresh vegetables. You're safe with broccoli, beta-carotene stuff like sweet potatoes, carrots. You're safe with peas. You're safe with, what else? Like, if your parrot, some people say spinach is a little too hard on them. I don't know if that's true. I haven't found that to be true. You're safe with quinoa, but you do need to research. And so the pellets are really nice because that way they just get everything that they need. Sound-wise, these are both apartment parrots, which is awesome. They're both parrots that can fly around your apartment, unless your apartment is like really, really small. They can fly around your apartment and probably get plenty of exercise. You do need to have that UV light for both of them. And they aren't going to be so loud that you can hear them. Right now you can hear wild birds, and you can hear my birds. But the cockatiel, they're going to like I said, they're going to mostly whistle or make cute sounds. Unless something's wrong. If your cockatiel is like making some sound that you're like, oh my God, Kay, almost like they sounded cute. If it doesn't sound cute, if it's like, that's a universal, either I'm sick or I'm in danger kind of thing. Senegals, they don't make a lot of sound, but when they do, they can be loud. And again, I don't think it's so loud that your neighbor's going to complain. Maybe it is. But when a Senegal is unhappy for any reason, like they're lonely, they're bored, they're stressed out because you go to work or you have your own life, they might be loud. They might pluck their feathers. This is kind of problematic. So generally speaking, Senegals aren't going to be too loud, but when there's something wrong, they are going to be louder. So that is something to keep in mind. Because I feel like if you're going to get a Senegal, or I'll say, if I was going to get a Senegal, I would have to devise a plan as to how am I going to feel like this parrot is happy and has company and has their needs met. And my answer to every bird is have another one. And maybe for the Senegal, you can have them side by side the way I would like with my Indian ringnecks. Maybe that's the thing to do. But they still are going to want your attention. So that, I don't think that is true for every Senegal. It can be. It's not uncommon. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. the last thing I'm going to say in comparing these two birds, before I tell you which one I would pick, is lifespan. Your cockatiel is going to live up to 20 years if it is fed well and fed correctly, which means don't give them those fatty seeds. And the Senegal, their lifespan is going to be an average of 25 to 30 years. So really, I think you can kind of guess that the Senegal is going to live at least twice as long, maybe even more, because the Senegal in captivity, they say, can live up to 50 years. They also say humans can live to be 100 years, but it doesn't mean that the average human lives that long. So I would say, you know, that if you take really good care of both of your birds, probably the Senegal is going to live twice as long. Now, which would I pick? I don't know. The thing is, I really like my Senegals. I like cockatiels. I have 2 cockatiels. Don't get me wrong. I love cockatiels also. I do think they're awesome, but I think it would depend on my flock. Right now, I have more than 22 species, so I wouldn't add a Senegal because I can't give them a ton of time and attention. For example, this little boy wants time and attention, but he flies to me and he doesn't get in fights with other birds, so it doesn't not work, but the Senegal would still like want more attention. So frankly, I would probably, if I was going to add one and if I was going to choose one under my circumstances, I would choose the cockatiel. On the other hand, if I worked from home and I only had like 1 or 2 parrots or no parrots, I would get 2 Senegals. I would try to get babies and try to have them raised together to hopefully increase my chances that they'll get along. And I would not get a lot of other birds so that I could really give my Sennies that time and attention that they really crave. If you found this helpful, please consider sending me a super thanks. That would be awesome. You can go to parrotbliss.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a super thanks, so that I actually receive a greater percentage of that super thanks. Because on my website, PayPal takes a minimal fee. It's not near what gets taken otherwise. If you are looking for some awesome Valentine's Day merch, please be sure to visit shop.parrotbliss.com. And then please be sure to give me one of these. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe. If you want to join my YouTube membership group, go to parrotbliss.com, and at the top of the page it has the group link and you can join there. And then I will catch you in the next feathered video. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. I try to read all of them unless they fall through the cracks, which sometimes happens, but then I usually catch them later. Thanks, and I will catch you next time.